Well, it's time now to take a look through today's papers. I'm joined in the studio by Alison Sargent. Hello to you, Alison.
Hi, Rochelle.
We're starting in the US with a reaction to that New York Times editorial penned by an anonymous Trump administration official.
Right, and it's actually very, very rare for the New York Times to publish an op-ed anonymously, and they explain their decision before this piece, and they actually invite readers to ask questions about it as well. They say because the person's job would be jeopardized by giving their name, well, they believe that this was really the only way to get the information to readers. The piece itself echoes many of the accounts in that upcoming book by Washington Post journalist Bob Woodward, that officials have been protecting the country, basically, from what this official calls Trump's amorality. What's interesting is that this writer specifies that they are not part of some sort of left-wing resistance. They actually believe a lot of the Trump administration's policies have made the U.S. a better place. That hasn't stopped Donald Trump from being livid about this, though. He questioned whether it was a phony source and then said that if it's not, the New York Times has a duty to turn this person over for treason. The Washington Post reports that Trump's aides have also been deeply shaken by this op-ed. They write that Trump loyalists have been sharing text messages with the phrase, "The sleeper cells have awoken."
Right, well, unsurprisingly, Alison, this article has inspired a lot of reaction online. What have people been saying?
Well, the big question is who wrote this piece, and the race is on to try and figure that out. That's what Quartz writes. One theory is that got a lot of traction online, actually, is that the person who wrote this was perhaps the vice president himself, Mike Pence. This is all because of the use of one word, lodestar, which Mike Pence has been known to use quite a bit. The reality, though, is that it's very, very hard to speculate about who wrote this. The terms senior official and Trump administration could both be interpreted pretty broadly. New York Times reporters themselves actually don't know who wrote it and are trying to figure it out. That's because the identity of the person is only known to a select number of staff from the opinion pages, which are kept separate from the rest of the paper. Meanwhile, one conservative publication, the National Review, is less concerned with who wrote it, but why they wrote it. And they note that the timing is interesting. It has come out just a day after these excerpts from that Bob Woodward book. This writer, though, thinks it ultimately comes down to self-interest. They think the author is trying to save their own reputation years from now, to be able to say basically that they were fighting against the worst parts of the Trump administration, even from inside it, and that they have that now on record, even if for the moment that record is anonymously.
All right, one of the claims in that op-ed, Alison, is that Donald Trump had to be convinced to take action against Moscow in the Skripal poisoning affair. And that story is, of course, back on the front pages today.
Right. This is after the British government announced that they are charging 2 Russian suspects for this alleged poisoning. You can see them on pretty much all of the British front pages today. The conservative Daily Mail is calling them Putin's smiling assassins. Meanwhile, The Guardian cites Prime Minister Theresa May on their front page. She said that this was not a rogue attack, but goes all the way to the highest levels of the Russian state, i.e. all the way to the Kremlin, an accusation that we also find in a cartoon from the Daily Telegraph. We see here Vladimir Putin is reacting to those accusations. He says, "Now you say 2 Russians were responsible. How dare you? It was just one." And we think we can tell, based on this cartoon, who they think that just one person was.
All right, well, meanwhile, the Russian media is far more skeptical when it comes to Moscow's involvement.
Right, one popular daily has the story on their front page today, but they say that these charges don't necessarily prove anything. According to them, the Skripal case remains a mystery. Still, the paper worries that these charges will be used as a reason to punish Russia, as Theresa May has vowed to do.
All right, well, let's move to France now. Some of our viewers may still be recovering from the World Cup. I'm amongst them, I must confess. But France's national team will be back on the field tonight, Alison.
That's right, Michelle. I am one of those people who is excited about it. They will be their first game since winning the World Cup. This is taking place in Munich because they will be facing the former World Cup champions, Germany. It's part of the Nations League, which is a European football tournament. All week we've been talking about la rentrée here in France, back to school time. Well, les Bleus will be making their rentrée as well tonight. That's what L'Équipe says on their front page. They're hailing the rentrée of champions. Coach Didier Deschamps has indeed selected the exact same team that played in the World Cup, with the exception of one player who is injured. There's good reason to root for Germany, though, Rochelle, because it's their chance to prove themselves after that rather humiliating departure from the World Cup.
You're so enthusiastic about it. I might just tune in after all, Alison. Finally, we end with a story of a business promotion that's gone wrong.
Right, or perhaps gone too well, depending on how you want to look at it. This was in Russia. Domino's Pizza offered free pizza for life for anyone who got a tattoo of their logo, posted it to Instagram, and proved the authenticity of the ink. You can see this photo here in Fox News. It might not sound worth it, but so many people did it that they had to end the promotion after just several days. Domino's Pizza said they can only give pizza for life to the first 350 people, and they actually had to issue an urgent message to anyone who may have been sitting under the needle at a tattoo parlor, giving them a deadline to submit photos, and they warned everyone else to cancel their tattoo appointments. So don't try it now.
If they didn't stress how big the tattoo had, I would imagine people just got tiny ones.
No, I think they said it had to be visible. It had to be visible.
All right, fair enough. Well, cancelling the promotion, a victim of its own success, I suppose. Thank you very much for the roundup of the papers. And to our viewers, if you do want to see more, you can always log on to our website at france24.com.